It says we're streaming.
It does, but I have to wait for my red bar to go the entire length before I can X out of the box. All right, so that part's right. And now you're recording. Okay, so you're good to go.
Okay. It is June 29th, 2021, and it is 7:09 p.m. and we're calling the meeting to order.
And you are the Beach Commission.
Yeah, we are the Beach Commission.
And who is present?
Present is myself, Joe Mayato, Samantha Snow, Mike Focarelli, Bill Ryan, all of the Beach Commission, Jim Farrell, Beach Manager, Cindy Gould, Beach Commission Secretary, and Carol Waddell.
Okay, and I have a phone number that just signed in. So I think it might be Don. It's 484-4298. Does that sound right for him?
Let me look him up.
It does, actually.
Because if it's him, I'll move him over as allowed to talk.
Yes, Donnie is 4298.
Okay, so I'm going to move him over as allowed to talk.
Okay.
And I'm sure he can hear us talking. So when you're ready, Don, you can unmute yourself.
Donnie, we can see you. If you can unmute yourself, then we'll be able to hear you.
I can't remember from the town meeting. Is it *9 or *6 that unmutes? One raises a hand and the other one unmutes.
I'm not sure.
So we'll either get a hand or he'll unmute.
So he's under attendees.
Yeah, but you can now see him because I've allowed him the ability to speak.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I can't make him a full panelist. I can't make him a full panelist because he's on a cell phone.
Yeah, and you can't unmute him, right?
No, I can only ask him to unmute.
All right, well, until he unmutes, I guess we'll proceed with the assumption that he can hear us. So also present on cell phone, possibly hearing us, is Donnie Medeiros, also of the Beach Commission. First thing, I will accept a motion to accept the minutes from the prior meeting, the minutes of June 17th. Somebody want to make that a motion?
I'll move that we approve the amended minutes for June 17th.
And Bill, I can see your mouth moving, but you're on mute. Billy, unmute. There you go.
Billy, did you second that?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes of the meeting from June 17th. All in favor, Samantha Snow,
Aye.
Mike Focarelli,
Aye.
Bill Ryan,
Aye.
Joe Mayato, aye. I don't know. Carol, I don't know what to do about Donnie.
Well, I think the record's just going to show that he's here listening and must be having technical difficulties and cannot unmute. So we'll show him as in attendance, but not voting.
So would the motion, would that be considered to pass unanimously?
Not unanimously, but it does pass because it's a 3 with 1. We'll call it an abstention, really.
Okay. So 4 actually, right?
Four
Yes.
have
4
cast.
and 1 abstention. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So under correspondence, the next
Thank you,
item we
Sam.
have is bills. And Jimmy, I see that you sent us the bills with a new cover sheet. And I matched up the bills to the cover sheet and everything seems to line up. The only thing I'd like you to do, Jimmy, if you can, well, why don't you just run down them quick for us? Bat Laboratory, we know there's 2 of those for a total of $360. Do you have that, Cindy?
I do. I have them in front of me. Yep.
Okay. And then we have Tiverton Sign for $152, but the one that's paid to you, Jimmy, can you just explain that one?
Sure. The 129 is for recertifications, lifeguard recertifications. And the 2758 is for office materials, file folders and et cetera.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to accept the bills and pay them.
Samantha Snow makes a motion to accept the bills and pay them.
Okay.
Michael Fogarelli, second.
Okay, I have a motion made and seconded to pay the bills in the total amount of $668.58.
Joe, we lost you a little bit there.
All in favor? No, I said that we have a motion made and seconded to pay the bills for a total amount of $668.58. So all in favor, Samantha Snow,
Aye.
Mike Fogarelli,
Aye.
Billy Ryan,
Aye.
Joe Mayotto, aye. So the motion passes with 4 in favor and 1 abstention to pay the bills. All right, the next item is to discuss the submission of a potential town charter amendment. And Donnie and I have been working on this, and if he gets
Joe,
to
do you
a
wanna-
point where he can speak, I will
Joe-
let him speak further on it. But-
Excuse me, Joe, for
Yep.
correspondence, do you want to log in the receipt of the letter from Mrs. Anderson?
Yeah, I guess we could do that. Yeah, I guess
You
that
could-
was, correspondence was just blank, I guess, right?
You could accept it under Jim Farrell when he does the report of the beach.
Okay, great.
Because
Okay.
he can make, I sent it to him as well, so he can make
Okay.
note of it.
Yeah,
Sorry
because we
about that.
kind of had correspondence and then it was just blank on the agenda. All
Okay,
right, so, because it actually came after the agenda was
that's true.
prepared.
Yep. Sorry to
Um,
interrupt you, Joe.
No, that's all right. Thanks for reminding us of that. So this item of the potential town charter amendment, Billy and Donnie and I have discussed it because myself and Jimmy, and this kind of relates to the whole thing, myself and Jimmy, as instructed by the commission, had a meeting with Tony about accounts in general and about that $35,000 issue that we talked about, so on and so forth. That led to a meeting of myself and Carol. And Carol provided some documentation of prior financial town meetings. And that led to Carol introducing me to Joe DeSantis in the finance office. I met with him, and believe it or not, that led to another meeting where Tony came in and met with myself and Joe DeSantis. The end result is a little surprising and a little bit complicated, but it's all connected to this town charter thing that Donnie is proposing. It's certainly not off the table at this point in time, but what has happened in the past, we've had separate warrants for the financial town meeting. And in some of those warrants were to put money aside for certain things. Under past financial directors, apparently that money was never put aside. So the bottom line is, it might seem to some people like, well, where did that money go? It really didn't go anywhere. We never spent out of it. So what we did was when things came through, like, for example, there was a warrant for repairing the beach. The town finance director or town treasurer previous was paying that out of our operating expenses. They weren't distinguishing that and bringing down the amount that the town approved on the other side. So the net result to the town is nothing. The town didn't lose or gain any money. What happened was at the end of the year, we always say we turn over the money to the town. It doesn't physically get turned over. It actually, it just falls into the general fund. And when the town, financial town meeting concludes, everything that's been passed, gets applied towards the total appraisal amount of all the value of the properties to the town, and a tax rate is arrived at. The net result of all this is that because we didn't take the money down from the other account, it was less money that we were able to turn back to the town. So in net, nothing happened. However, there is also no money sort of being put aside. And Jimmy had very nicely put together a schedule which said, for example, that a boat should last, the boat itself now, not the motor, but the boat itself should last 20 years per the manufacturer. Then the motor should last 10 years. So Jimmy was taking the eventual value of what those things would cost to replace and dividing it up by 20 years and 10 years respectively. And there was some other number of years for rescue boards and so forth. And was coming up with an amount that we were putting aside. So the end result, I'm proposing that what we do is when we prepare that budget, Jimmy and I will sit down over the winter and put together a budget that includes all those items. And the town finance director nor Tony were too clear on how to word the accounts, but they're going to get together with the auditor for the town and come up with a method of doing that. So when we do put money aside, it is there. That way, when we go to buy a boat, it's not like we're just buying it out of current funds. It's money that we put aside each year. So that's kind of a real long explanation, but I wanted everybody to understand that it's not like somebody took the money or, you know, somebody else took it for another department or anything like that.
So can I ask, so
Yeah,
can
go
I
ahead,
ask a
Mike.
question? So when the financial town meeting, when they approve the entire warrant, what happens to the money from that entire warrant, since it's part of the general fund, when that's not spent? Is that carried over? And is that
So-
deducted from the assessment?
It just serves to reduce the amount that's needed for the upcoming year. So the
Okay,
tax rate reflects that. So to some, you know, small fraction of pennies or whatever it comes out to,
right.
the tax rate would have been reduced by that amount. The downside of that is that we don't have the money aside. The upside of this is that this is something that we started doing fairly recently, putting the money aside. So going forward, we are going to do it in a way that the money does stick there. And it falls on Jimmy when we have to make an expense to pay something, that he tells them what account to take it out of. And that way, whether it's a capital account or an operating account, will determine what account it comes from.
So did Tony or Jim, is it Jim or Joe DeSantis?
No, Joe DeSantis.
So did Tony or Joe make any comments about Donnie's change to the
Yes.
charter, or whether that was a possibility or that has to go back to enabling legislation?
They did comment about it, but not from the legal perspective. The comment was regarding that it would be best for him to hold off on that right now, because we could end up accomplishing the same thing by allocating monies to certain accounts and just turning over the remainder to the town. So it would accomplish the same thing without having to go through a lot of hoopla. That was Tony's recommendation.
Excuse me, Joe, was
ahead.
Donnie able to meet with the lawyer? Because I know that there was talk of that meeting and asking if we go to the town charter review or the state.
Right. I believe that based on Tony's recommendation, Donnie did not go down that road yet.
Okay.
Keep in mind for the future, and this is true of other department heads or other accounts in the town. when you get to the end of the fiscal year, close to the end, like the beginning of June, you should be writing a letter to the finance director saying, we want XYZ funds from this either operating account or capital funds account that was approved at the financial town meeting to be encumbered and placed into the XYZ fund that it belongs in. Because without that piece of paper, the treasurer or the finance director now doesn't really have clear authority to encumber those funds. The council at the end of each fiscal year will go through all of their accounts and find those that are already earmarked, say it's highway monies or tree warden monies or something that's been designated for a certain project. And they will dictate to the finance director that those funds from that particular fiscal year need to be encumbered. And that's how it gets held over for year to
Okay.
year.
Has that been
Okay,
done in the
thanks,
past, Carol?
From the beach commission, I don't believe it's been happening.
From other departments, it's been done in the past?
Yes.
We've never done that, I don't think.
No, I don't think the beach commission has.
But that's a great idea. That's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
So
And
that,
once the finance director meets with the auditor and they come up with the method of doing that and naming those accounts and the type of accounts that they are, right now, there was a wording in the last financial town meeting that referred to catastrophe fund.
Right.
And Tony didn't like that wording and, wanted to change that. So going forward, it will be different and better. And I think more transparent in my belief. And so far, I think everybody else seems to concur, is that we should put everything into the budget item, so that the budget item has all the line items and distinguishes which items are capital and which items are operating. However wording that they want to put it together with. So I'll continue to follow up with the finance director. I haven't heard back from him, so I'll prod him again and find out if he spoke to the auditors yet. The other thing that I wanted to report on was the memorial for Junior.
Yeah.
I just want to let everybody know that is being worked on. I've been working with Mike Rocha, who does laser engraving. And we've come up together with an idea. And I think it's a really good one. And that would be, so in order to laser engrave, you really have to be on very smooth, shiny, polished stone, preferably a black. And doing that, it would look very, very much like a gravestone. So what we've come up with is, instead of doing that, is that we would get a boulder, just a big rock boulder, and have an inset square section and put a piece of black granite into that. So it would be like an inset in the boulder, and that would relay the photograph a lot better. So that's what we're working on. I've done some edits on 3 different photos. I've been working with Caroline, his sister, and trying to come up with a good one. And before we go through with it, I also want to run it by her as the family member to see which one. The 3 pictures that we're working with right now are nice. We've converted them to black and white, and Mike has opinions from computer work that he's doing as to which one is going to translate best with the laser engraving. And then on the rock itself, we can do the sandblast engraving of the wording, the dates of birth and death and so forth. And so I just wanted to let you know that we are working on that.
that's a great idea. I like that on the rock.
Yeah, and in a way, I think it's not to make an excuse for the delay or anything, but I think in the end, we're going to end up with a better end result than we
I
would have
totally
with
agree. Yeah.
kind of gravestone looking thing.
Thank you, Jeff.
In fact, I saw Mike on Sunday, and I told him that I've got a bunch of boulders here at my property that I'd be willing to donate one for him to swing by and see if one looks appropriate. You laughing, Mike?
No, I think I know, because I was probably thinking, nobody gives anything away that they want.
I got them too, if you need to look
I
at
know.
them.
I was like,
Yeah, believe it or not, on many jobs that I've done, people have paid big money for boulders. And I know on certain portions of my property, you can't put a shovel in the ground without coming up with a boulder.
Mm.
So
That's
anyway,
great.
so that's kind of the report. The next item, and again, Donnie is listening in, but I guess I can report on this because Donnie and I have been meeting with Ned Levine, and in some cases with John Berg. Ned has volunteered and he's been extremely helpful in keeping things moving forward with negotiations with TNC. One of the sticking points is the money from the prior year, which we're still fighting for, and we will continue to fight for it because they said that they would do that. Apparently, John is getting some pushback from his higher ups, so we will continue to work that. And there have been multiple meetings in between our beach commission meetings. My wife has been asking me, I thought beach commission was only once every 2 weeks, and it seems like every other day I'm running out for something. But anyway.
That's what retirement's all about, Joe.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know, as I've heard other people say, I don't know how I ever had any time to work before. There's not been a day when I haven't been busy. And in fact, by the way, that day at the town hall where Carol helped me out and everything, that turned from what Jimmy described to me would be a 10 or 15-minute meeting to pretty much the entire afternoon. Okay, so that covers the Nature Conservancy thing as well. Cindy, you can keep that on so we can continue to get updates on that.
Okay. Do you want the other two kept on or no?
I think we keep it
Okay.
as part of the accounting procedures going forward, and
Okay.
you know that's kind of together with that now.
Okay.
Also, Cindy, I think you mentioned to me today that you and Jimmy haven't gotten together yet and sent out that
No,
put
we
together
haven't.
that email address. All right, see if we can get that done this week so that we can put emails out officially instead of coming out under your personal name and your own personal email and so forth. And also, I assume you got back to Gary Nitkin.
Oh, I mailed him a letter as well.
Okay, can you forward that to us, a copy of that?
Yes.
I think you sent it to Samantha.
I did. I can send that to you.
Yeah.
To all of you. I'll
Yeah,
send it
and
to
then
all
that
of
way
you.
in the future, you can just either blind copy us from the new email address or just forward it afterwards, but just so we can see the exact communication that went out. All right, I think that's it for the regular items, and it comes down to Jimmy.
No problem.
Each manager's report.
And under your report, make mention of that email that I sent out to you.
With regard to the email, this is one of several inquiries we've got about what we're going to do to make the beach safer. Again, we've told most of the people down there that Mother Nature is our landscaper. Wait a little while, it'll be just like it was last year. Unfortunately, everybody's got short memories. This beach is like this every year. And it's not even the worst it's been. We've got pictures of, I think like 6-7 years ago when that drop off was over 10 feet.
Wow.
If any of you have been down to the beach lately, Mother Nature's been hard at work and she's got her lined up.
Yeah, not to interrupt you, Jimmy, but you and I were down there. Was that Monday?
I think so. Yeah.
Last Monday, and some people have suggested putting in guardrails there. Well, Jimmy had the staff pull back the chairs 4 or 5 feet, and by virtue of the storm that came through and the waves and the wind direction and the moon and all that, that 4 or 5 feet in some places was completely eaten away. Any guardrail that would have been put up would have completely disappeared. And we had waves coming right into the parking lot. I think I sent you guys a picture.
Yeah, you did. Thanks, Joe.
And the picture shows the area where a guardrail would have been planted. It was gone. So it's Jimmy is right on track with that. It's a moving landscape there.
And again, we bring up the fact that we are considered an all-natural beach. We do not groom it. We do not build it up. The only thing we do is we push the rocks from the winter back over the edge, and we go from there. And every year, the winter storms suck the sand off the beach. In early May, if you go out there 100 yards, there's a billion yards of sand out there that gets pushed back up onto the beach as the summer moves on. So again, anybody that's really familiar with the beach knows that this happens. And if you go down there right now, it's already happening now. That drop off is less than half of what it used to be. Secondary thing, some of them have been asking about, having access down to the beach. The lifeguards 3 times have built runways and stairs going down there, and the storms have wiped, and that storm last week wiped them all out. They've rebuilt a new set of runways with all of those areas. And again, if we have last week we had moon high tides, which doesn't help. Again, with one of the ladies from the letter previous that was complaining about things and accidents and stuff like that, she was saying, well, why isn't it posted anywhere that the lifeguards will help people onto the beach? So we did get some signs made up. That was the bill for those signs. Each lifeguard chair in the front gate now have a sign that says, if you need assistance onto the beach, ask a lifeguard. So again, it should be right there. With ADA compliance, because we are a public facility, we do have to have handicapped access. The gator is our compliance with that. We will give anybody that asks for it a ride anywhere on the beach they need to. The Conservancy is aware of this. We've even done that for them with people getting up to their programs. So again, just got to ask. Unfortunately, people are going to complain no matter what we do. So that's where we stand there. I don't know whether anybody has any other questions about some of those letters there.
Jimmy, there's been some discussion, and with your experience from this beach and other beaches, there's been some question of whether or not we should have some kind of temporary handicap access ramp type thing. And I,
again, last week was a perfect example of that. If we try to mount, I can remember when previous beach commission talked about buying like the same type ramps that you have going down to a marina. And it's like, okay, great. Where are you going to mount that? If you guys want proof of the power of the ocean, go on the back side of the parking lot. There's 2 of the 3 stones that the lifeguard chairs used to mount to that have been moved all the way across the parking lot by the ocean. Nothing's going to stay on that front bay.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree. I just wanted to get your feedback on that. This isn't like a beach where the beach is 100 yards wide between the edge of the parking lot and the shoreline, and you've got like dunes that you're going over where people put those net walkways that make it pretty firm to walk over and so forth. It's just not that type of a place. We don't have the luxury for that sort of thing.
Not practical to do that. And some of the suggestions with people about, putting in runways and excavating out, that we can't do that. It's not in the CRMC permit. It's not in what we can do down there. Again, what we are is what we are. We're an all natural beach. We're what Mother Nature gives us, and we deal with it from there.
Yep, I agree. I mean, I was in front of some people the other day, and they were kind of giving me a hard time about it. And I just went kind of like this, like, it is what it is, and they interpreted that as being, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't care.
It's not that we don't care. Anybody that comes down to that beach that wants to get on the beach, we'll get them there. Again, there's absolutely no excuse. Now there's signage up. The one lady that was complaining was, well, how am I supposed to just guess that you guys will help us? So now I said, okay. I said, there's far too many signs up already, but there's going to be another one. So now there's another one that's up on the front shack and all 3 lifeguard stands about if you need assistance.
That'll be the next complaint, that there's too many signs and they can't read them all.
The way it goes.
Case of a lot of people don't know that our hands are tied, by CRMC and by the Nature Conservancy. I think, people think that we have the ability to do whatever we want to the landscape. we really don't. I mean, I remember what a debacle it was when Hurricane Bill washed the beach away and getting stuff, the DEM permits and getting the FEMA money and rebuilding from that. And
Yep.
it's just always
It's
a,
not,
Well, and, you know, as an example of that, Sam, we had a situation over the winter where, between Donnie and Jimmy and Billy, they made a decision because the beach, the ocean washed right over through the beach parking lot, right into the water behind. And we had to open up the creek to alleviate that. If we didn't do that this spring, there would be no beach, no parking lot.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's a constant battle with Mother Nature, and she's always going to win.
true.
But and you know, the other thing is, and Jimmy does a fantastic job of keeping a lot of this grief off our shoulders. But you're never going to make everybody happy, no matter what. No matter what you do there, you could put an elevator in with you know, uniformed chauffeurs leading you up, and there would be somebody complaining about it. You know.
One of the suggestions was that we do valet parking, so we'll work on that, yeah. So,
Well,
part of
hopefully
the fun.
signage helps if people know that, you know, the lifeguards are available for that. That's a good step.
Yeah.
No, you're
Yeah.
right, and it brings, Sam, when you're saying that, it brings back a letter that we got from Pat Kinane after his tenure on the Beach Commission, saying basically that he had no idea of like what goes on, and it was a huge education to him, you know. So we do what we can. I mean, everybody's well intentioned and trying to do the best thing, you know. But anyway, Jimmy, is that it? Did you have
Nope.
anything else?
Not close. Got a few more things for you. Again, because of the way the meetings that don't line up with the payroll and things like that right now, I will have the fiscal 2021 expense income report for you on Thursday. We still have one more day to go into that. So Thursday I will have you that. We're looking pretty good. You know, like I said, when I first showed you that, Joe, a while ago, we were in our money we hand back to the town, we were in the negative for the first time ever. But with the previous weekend doing almost $50,000 in 2 days, we're back in the black and looking good. We are going to go over on the base, but again, we have a lot of extra expenditures that were not counted on, like the 17,000 for the night security, and a lot of the COVID compliance stuff. So maybe we can recover some of that. I know Tony's working on a thing about COVID recovery, and we are a big chunk of that. Basically figure that we lost between expenses and what we lost for income, we're probably looking at, you know, close to $100,000. So hopefully we can recover some of that. Other than that, those are the basics. And again, like I said, I'll have the last payroll, the 2021 fiscal year, the total of the expenses, the total of the income and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm surprisingly doing well. When we sat down with Tony a year ago and talked about what we thought the income would be, I told him, you know, he was like, oh, 80%, 90%. I was like, no way, we're going to be looking at 50, 60%. And his figures are probably closer at this point in time too, income wise. We actually did fairly well. Do have a little bit of a worry about the amount of people that are buying season passes. That's a lot of money that came into basically last year's fiscal year income. And then July 1st, we start over again. And I got a funny feeling that we're going to see a big drop in income just because we've sold so many season passes. And the money that we collected for that is actually in the 2021 fiscal year. So just want to make you guys aware of that. And we'll go from there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
again,
I mean, it all averages out from year to year.
Yeah. And
So,
the new sheet that we've got,
um,
basically, I try to keep it as, for the expenses, try to keep it as simple as possible with the line items, and anything that has an oddball line item, I will list it in the description on the end. We've got, starting July 1st, we've got two, I've got to find out whether they want them listed as capital, but things that were listed on the budget warrant. There was a $6,000 for the rescue boards and the $25,000 for the rebuilding of the buildings down there. So I got to find out what line item they want those listed under, because I wouldn't really consider them capital projects, but if that's what they want to call them, great. You know, so.
Jimmy, by the way, I think I sent you a message. I'm not sure if I did or if I meant to, but what is the status of completing those the changing rooms?
At this point in time, technically right now, we don't have DEM permission to have changing rooms yet at this point, technically. We did send a letter out to them asking changing rooms legal at this point in time. They didn't answer to us. I did tell Micah that, I understand we gave him everything so late that, and he's got tons of, everybody showing up, tons of projects that get to it when you can get to it. So I have not had a chance to talk to him yet on what's going on with the masonry. The last conversation was he was going to repair some of the masonry, but I don't think rebuild it. And I tried to, we're supposed to get together at some point to go over things, because in the original construction of those rooms, they put like steel bars across for a seat and then something up high to hang on. Well, those bars are almost rusted through in a couple places and are probably getting fairly dangerous. So we need
I'm guessing that there was something above those steel bars before, Jimmy, that the steel bars were holding up.
Like a seat or something that they were holding up at one point in time. But there's nothing there now, and there are a couple places have rusted right through. So again, they're becoming a hazard at this point.
Well, if you find out when he's coming down, I'd be happy to go down there and get it. And as far as COVID and all that crap has to do with those rooms are distinctly separate. I mean, there's masonry block walls between them. I don't think that's an issue. I would just like to see those get completed, because we're in the middle, we're jumping right into the season here. And before you know it, it's over in a couple months. So,
yeah. And again, I'd
it'd be nice to get that
be
going.
perfectly honest with you. I know with a couple of the construction projects that I'm dealing with around, if it gets done this summer, I'll be surprised. It's just every contractor I know out right now is flat out. And like I said, hopefully he can get to it and get it done this summer. But again, like I said, everyone that I know is just up to their eyeballs with things.
The next complaint we'll get is that people are using the changing rooms and there's no doors on them.
Well,
Hey, Jim, can you refresh my memory? Is there a limit to the season passes or the
no,
number?
basically we decided the limit was we bought 500 of them.
Okay.
And that was going to be the limit. But
So that includes
Well-
townspeople and season passes, or season?
no,
passes?
that just includes non-taxpayer. I mean,
Okay,
we
got
have
it.
quite a few like renters and things like that in
Got it.
town. That's one of the ways we deal with it. Anybody that's got a summer property they rent out, we've got a couple of them that have bought season passes for their renters and that sort of thing. And then we have out-of-towners that buy them.
It's a big source of revenue for us. So, I don't want to discourage that in any way.
Yeah.
No.
And even
Again,
last
like I was
year,
saying, the biggest thing is it's gonna be a change in our stream of cash, and
Yeah.
stuff like that, where we're getting that big, like I said, we got a weekend where we did the best financial days we've ever had before this was $8,100. And 2 weeks ago, we did $23,000 and $24,000 consecutively. And most of that was season passes.
Wow.
yeah. And I think Jimmy made it clear last year when the people were buying the season passes that we were restricted because of COVID and everything. And that did not make them hesitate. So I think on that basis, that was one of the reasons that we increased the price. And I don't think there's been any, real
And-
pushback.
We have told all the people buying season passes, it does not guarantee them entry onto the beach. When the beach is closed, the beach is closed, period. And
Yep.
that's the way every other beach is. And stuff.
It's first come, first serve, and they know that going in.
The only advantage it does give them is they are treated like town residents, so they do have access from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. But other than that, there's nothing much that changes.
Good. All right. Cindy, what is the date of the next meeting?
July 13th.
All right. Does that work for everybody? 7 p.m.?
Yep.
All right. That being the case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:48 p.m.
I'll second it.
All right. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, Samantha Snow,
Aye.
Mike Focarelli,
Aye.
Billy Ryan,
Aye.
Joe Mayotto, aye. And Donnie, I'm assuming that he wants to adjourn too. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. See you on the